You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Ryan McCubbin.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Hey, David Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, is that really you? Donnie Spiker.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Hey, Greg Hectus.
I have a voice.
Well, on the show today, we will find out what iRacing has in store for their next new vehicle. There's more clues as to the wet stuff and what legendary wheel manufacturer may be in the sim racing market. And Dave Cam goes legend in his own way at Bathurst.
And, and remember, guys, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all these great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So log in and let's see you there.
All right, Mike, do we have a new car coming?
We do, and iRacing have put out on social media a CAD drawing of their next new entry into the stable of Formula cars. Now, it doesn't, say what it is, but people have surmised that it's the Formula Ford. It looks just like the Formula V to me.
You know, the airbox and the side pod is slightly different. It's kind of figured out what year the Formula Ford this is trying to be, but I couldn't find a Formula Ford to look like this yet. So I'm not 100% sold that it is the Formula Ford, but I'd be excited if it was.
That's probably the most likely suspect, right?
Unless
Yeah,
there's
and it seems like they're going they're checking off boxes for SCCA cars, the Sports Car Club of America. They really seem like they're checking off a lot of boxes on that state of cars.
could this be a new Formula Ford in real life as well, modeled after maybe? And will this be free like the Formula V was free?
Question.
That's a good question. My guess would probably not, because well, it's going to have a lot more horsepower than the V, so it's not going to be like an entry level vehicle like typical free ones are. It's going to be a little bit more advanced than the Formula V. So I would say probably not. My guess, if that's what it is.
I like it. I'm currently dabbling into open wheel right now. I'm Indy Pro is really my car at the moment, the Indy Pro 2000. But I go back to the F2000 and sometimes even Skip Barber. But I mean, this car would be right in that lineup, probably right below Skip Barber, I would guess.
Yeah, and so if you know what the Formula V looks like, it's similar in body style, and with the wheels and the linkage and all that stuff. The thing that it doesn't have is any downforce at all. There's no wings or anything on it, just like the Formula V. So the Formula V can get a little snappy loose just because it doesn't have any of that downforce. And I imagine with this thing, with the much higher horsepower that a Ford motor will be compared to a Volkswagen engine, is going to make this thing a little tricky to drive. No downforce on a car like this, it could be tricky.
Very much like the Lotus 49, which is a fast car with no downforce. You have to slow dramatically for the corners, and then it goes real fast on the straights. And so it's a different style of racing for sure.
Yeah, and this was the first year I remember iRacing doing like big stuff with the SCCA runoffs that are like their championships at the end of the year. And I don't know. Maybe this is their introduction to more cars into that SCCA class runoff system.
Bring it on.
All right, Don, I got a question for you. How is MSG going to pay for Indy licensing when they can't pay their employees?
They're probably going to have to ask for an allowance from their father company. But it sounds like a rumor from a source at Motorsports Games claimed that they have not been paying their employees and they may be threatening a lawsuit. This is from Insider Gaming, and a little snippet from the article says things only seem to be going from bad to worse for Motorsports Games, as Insider Gaming has learned that developers from the company are threatening a lawsuit over unpaid wages.
Now, there are circumstances, of course, and the circumstances are these are Russian employees, and apparently the way that Motorsports Games actually makes racing games is they farm it out to the lowest bidder, probably, and you know, freelance style, and it happens to be in Russia. So because of the Ukrainian war and that thing going on, they claim, they haven't been able to send the money because of the nature of the situation.
Doesn't this situation just get more and more skeptical each time we talk about it? Like, there's so many red flags, and how did none of these companies that signed with them see this, like, see what it's going on right now? You'd think that they would do something about it.
Yeah, it seems like IndyCar did not do a whole lot of homework to tie their wagons to this company. Because you're right. There's a lot of red flags going on. We've been hearing about it for over a year with their financial situation being precarious at the best, and this could be just another example. Um, Saying that that the war in Russia has been keeping them from paying their Russian employees or subcontractors, however they do it, does not seem to be a valid reason why they couldn't pay their people.
There's other companies that do it successfully, Brian, for sure, and there's ways around it if you do the research and figure it out. And so, yeah, I think it's just an excuse. I mean, it's the only one they have. Now,
And this
the other
goes back
thing,
to, sorry, Mike.
okay, I was going to read one little tidbit here that I thought was interesting. Although relocation isn't uncommon for developers, motorsports games did not offer any compensation for the move. Instead, employees would have to relocate on their own. In addition, new contracts were offered to those who could move to Georgia, which included reduced wages in comparison with the Russian salaries, which are around 20% less. So they offered, hey, go to Georgia and work there, but we won't pay you to go to Georgia, and we'll pay you 20% less.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's not the Atlanta, Georgia. It's the Georgia in
Eastern Europe,
Eastern Europe.
right? Right.
Well, this makes me think a lot about a story we had when the first IndyCar thing hit, and one of the lawyers was asked, was trying to give his 2 cents about how iRacing can get this license back. And the biggest thing they said, the only thing that really seemed to make sense was that if there was an issue where um, motorsports could not fulfill their obligations, they could withdraw their license deal. So that seems to me to be the most reasonable way that iRacing could get a shot back at that licensing from Indy is if they're able to pull out because of a financial thing like this.
And to be clear, I mean, this is in reference to the work done on the NASCAR game. It does say that. This isn't about the IndyCar game. The Russians in question apparently worked on the NASCAR game, and they still haven't been paid.
The game looks great if you just take a look at the snippet and the screenshot we have on our script. It's an awesome pileup.
Nice
It
screenshot,
looks
right?
like yeah, it looks like a parking lot after like a tornado came through. And cars are just stacked on top of each other like crazy. I mean, the NASCAR game was panned so bad because of its physics and its AI. It was just panned so badly as being just a terrible game. I still can't understand why Indy would tie their wagons to this company after their, financial woes, the low quality of their product. I just don't get it.
CFO saying they're out of money. We're gonna be be dead in the water. I mean, there's so many different red flags. Yeah, you're right. How about some more red flags?
Yeah, this next one is the worst clickbait tweet I've ever seen because it's absurd. But what do you think, Greg?
I was hoping Mike was gonna take this one, but I never had gotten a chance to look at it. But I can obviously. It's got a clickbait title of um, is iRacing's days numbered? I guess is what they're implying in here with a bunch of things going on with the fact that all these last couple weeks we've been talking about the Indy controversy, what we just covered a couple minutes ago, and things like that with R Factor having some of their releases here recently, and things like that. And I think it's just someone trying to create an article for the heck of it here from Overtake to get some clicks.
It did give me a double take anytime I see the words iRacing's days may be numbered because I'm invested, you know. You buy all this equipment and then you're thinking, oh, and I don't really run other sims and stuff, so I suppose I could, but I've never felt the need to. And yeah, when people say this, yeah, I'm gonna click it, and it was clickbait.
Well, and I don't know if was it is it in this article where they posted the or was it something else that we were talking about where they posted the um, concurrent people on the sim at a time while or for R Factor, iRacing, and them at that time compared to how many people you can pick a low point of the day and kind of create your own data points. I would go by like how many people have subscribed, how many active users over the last months and stuff, not just by the single day.
So I'll kind of go over some of the points of this article. Um, first of all, there's this LFM, and this LFM is a ranking service for Assetto Corsa and R Factor, and combined, he's saying basically, this is this is competition to iRacing. So his first point says iRacing no longer the content king, and he points out the loss of the IndyCar license. He points out the loss of being able to run a proper 24-hour Le Mans. The next point, R Factor is the best racing simulator, which I'm not sure about that either. But and the next one was the obvious price gap differences between what it costs with iRacing being a subscription monthly, and the other one not being.
What other simulator out there has the content iRacing has legitimately?
Well, I think Donnie, the reason he's taken a point at this is because they've lost a couple things, and that's why he's able to, kind of make this thing saying that okay, he's using R Factor's big updates that they've done to add to stuff recently, and then obviously iRacing losing the fact like iRacing hasn't actually lost the content. They've lost the rights to use the name of the content. We still have IndyCar. We just can't do the major event, but nobody can. It's not like R Factor can do an IndyCar race either. It's still um, it's construed one way by the way that it's written that it's forcing a narrative of the R Factor. It's his opinion. I mean, he can like R Factor. He can use his points here to make it. I mean, if somebody that liked iRacing and Overtake, they probably could, in this article, they read an article about iRacing. They could, find the facts that would support iRacing over R Factor.
Yeah,
To
I wouldn't
Donnie's
know.
point, I mean, they're GT cars in these other sims, and that's it. What else? They're not running dirt, and
Exactly.
they're not running all this other crazy stuff that we do.
I think, Mike, do you think of the other thing that really, um, I find with this this article too is it's a heavy European style, so it's got to do with road racing. It's got to do with, it's because Le Mans isn't part of iRacing anymore because of some of the road stuff's gone away. Well, I don't see any talk about the NASCAR. How much, you got your NASCAR stuff on the iRacing is like the huge portion of iRacing that people always seem to forget when things are going on here. Like the biggest draw on iRacing is the oval side for the most part, and then when you lose a couple road things, yeah, you're gonna notice it.
Sports cars are really huge too. The M's
Yeah,
gigantic. There's 200 people signing up for the
Yeah,
Daytona races.
that's true. But what other NASCAR racing game is there out there for computer? I don't know of any that are out there. So, and their connection with NASCAR is so strong. I don't see any chance of that ever going away, um, unless something major happens. But I don't see that going away. We had that story last week about another driving sim that was coming out. It was they were kind of poaching some of the some of the top level drivers, but I don't think those top level drivers drive um, subscriptions or fans to the games themselves necessarily. I think it's more the things like leagues and and the official races that iRacing provides that drive that. I don't think it's the high level drivers that might be pulling out and going to different areas. We cover it and talk about it because it's interesting news for the championship series when somebody like that leaves. But I don't think for the most part it has any effect at all for who races what sims.
Yeah, prior to me joining you guys in the summer, you guys put out a story or covered a story showing the facts or the stats of how many users are on each service, and iRacing blew them away, and it wasn't even close. I tried to find that article you guys did, but I could not remember or could not find it. But and that's even with when iRace or IndyCar was a part of the service, and running IndyCar last year doesn't draw a whole bunch of numbers to the service. So I don't know if this is a short-sighted article here or just somebody has an agenda.
And he also uses rain as an example of why R Factor is better. He says R Factor 2, on the other hand, boasts very realistic rain implementation.
That's cool. iRacing will get it soon too.
Again, I don't think rain makes a huge difference in whether somebody runs one sim over the other. Because to me, rain seems like it's going to be more of a detriment than addition. Because I just don't think it's going to be that much fun.
So I
I
was
mean,
trying to figure out motivation or motive on this article, and the article is by overtake.gg. Now, it's easy to get that confused with traxion.gg. Now, traxion.gg is the media arm of, guess what, Motorsports Games. So, so initially I got confused and I thought this was the company that's owned by Motorsports. And I'm like, well, of course they put this out that iRacing's going down. But in fact, these are third party. This overtake.gg is a third party, but I still haven't figured out their motivation.
they're a general, like you looking through their webpage. They write articles about everything, right? So they're not just picking on one thing or here or there. They got stuff about F1, Codemaster games, and things like that. So it kind of, maybe it comes back to the person that's writing the article. It just the even like if you, when I look at like games when they get reviewed, like video games, if you have the wrong person reviewing a certain genre of a game, it can ruin the way that it's been reviewed, and not um, accepted right. So if maybe this article, it had a guy that was biased towards the R Factor. I don't know him too well, but it could have just been a bias, or like you said, an agenda. Um, what he was doing.
It just comes off as anti-redneck, anti-American, pretty much. All right. Next thing we got is the probably maybe the ballsiest move in history. What do you think, Donnie?
Yeah, I thought this was pretty spectacular. But Dave Cam posted a video on his YouTube channel of him taking the jump at Bathurst on the last lap while leading. But it's fun watching the jump because he almost doesn't make it. He almost head ons the wall to the right, but luckily he careens off into a 45-degree angle to the left and crosses the line.
And wins the race and he blew the engine when he landed, so he had to coast across the line. So the brilliance of this is he had to have a big enough lead over second place to be able to pull this off.
Right, because he's going to get a even if the car stays alive, he's getting a massive time penalty, a slowdown penalty, even if the car survived. It didn't, and he's just and he's like going so slow. It's almost a guess as to whether he's going to make it to the line or not. He's like just barely moving, and then you hear his crew chief say that he won the race. It was really cool. It was awesome. We talked a lot of times about doing the jump after the race is over, coming around after the last lap is done. But yeah, I've never seen somebody go for it that in the race. That's leading, especially. I mean, if you're in last place, who cares? You can do it on the last lap. But if you're leading the race and you're there's a good chance you might not finish it because of trying that one. It was awesome. I love this video. And by the way, Dave Cam in this one is wearing one of the ugliest Christmas sweaters ever, which is just glorious.
I'm not sure I would do it, Brian. I don't think I would because a win is a win is a win. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be afraid. Oh man, I'm going to give up this win. I'll put it in the wall and I won't even be able to finish. But he risked giving up the win, and I applaud him for that. We are not worthy.
Well, I was just thinking like you're taking that risk and you don't pull it off and you don't win and that was your one shot this year to like put one in the category of a win column or something like that. It I just don't know if I would have that mentality coming down the hill to try it. And then the worst part, when you were saying there too, Brian, is he's got a slowdown penalty, but with having the motor blown, he can't dictate how slow he can go. He's got to roll to the line and hope it goes away before he got to the line. Like normally you could slow down and then get going again, to get that penalty to go away, but he timed it all perfectly and it just worked out for him.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel to fall back on to make himself feel good inside if he didn't make it. At least has a cool clip to post. For me, who never wins or hardly ever wins, I'd be hyperventilating on the last lap anyway because I'm about to win a race for once, and so it wouldn't even cross my mind.
All right, Mike. Empty box gets a refill.
Empty Box is back. The popular iRacing YouTuber extraordinaire, otherwise known as Matt Orr. He's putting videos up of him doing iRacing again after a long hiatus away. I looked at it where his last videos were about a year back. Um, but glad to have him back. If you don't know who Empty Box is, uh, I mean, he was the original iRacing streamer. He has a lot of subscriptions, and he was one of the guys to watch back in the day when when it all kicked off, the streaming stuff. But videos, yeah, he puts up lots of YouTubes, and it's just him racing and talking about racing and that kind of thing. So yeah,
Did he give any kind of report as to why he took a hiatus? Was it just a refresh, or was it a life issue, or something like? Got busy? Who knows?
No, I didn't catch that. He's putting out regular videos now, and I think they're the one that he put out initially. I didn't get to see it. That might have that information, but no, it's like he hasn't missed a beat, and he's just back in the seat.
Next up, we have a hint that rain may be getting closer and closer. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah. Speaking of YouTubers who are really good to watch, comes from Dan Suzuki, but this was a tweet of his that he posted, and he shows a picture of his garage settings, and in the tire type, um, there's an option for wet. So apparently, he has the opportunity to put wet tires on his car for wet conditions, and that can only be one thing: rain. So you know, every, we've had so many clues as the rain's coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. So this is just another one. Um, but does this mean it's coming next build? I don't know. Who knows? We've speculated. I think the last two builds that it was going to come, and we're disappointed. But this might be a sign that we're one step closer. Maybe this could be the year.
Yeah, this got us going in the group chat, team chat this week about it. But what did we decide? Is it coming before the 24 hours or not?
No
I think
way.
Dave said yes.
Ain't no way. That was Mike's idea. All right.
So we had
Let's
a
just
build
just
this
don't
week.
listen to Mike on any kind of prediction of any kind.
We had a patch, right? We had a patch, and I was like, "Whoa!" Now this discussion was before the patch came out, and I'm like, "This is it. This is it. It's rain. It's 2 weeks before the 24. That'll give us enough time to, make sure it's working." And they're gonna debut it before the 24. But sure enough, we got the patch, and it wasn't rain. I was completely wrong.
It was kind of like a pit strategy call, basically.
There could still be a patch next week. You never know. It would be a nightmare though, and I think we all agreed for the most part in our group chat that this would be a shit show, or sorry, this would be a nightmare if they decided to run with it before the 24 hours.
Something like needs to be incorporated in shorter races first.
They need to make sure it doesn't go bad.
No. Yeah, and smaller races that aren't their biggest event of the year. You don't want to turn that into a nightmare. We've already seen what happens when they have issues with people logging in, and you don't want this to happen. Be your test, the day 24.
You think the articles about iRacing is done or started now? Wait till they have a bad 24-hour race and servers are like dead or something like that because or everybody's afraid they're going to be racing in the rain.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and I think David said it in the group chat, that when rain comes, we're all going to know it's going to be promoted. I think it will be a part of a special series, a smaller series to get everybody going in it first, and then into these special events down the road.
Well, I don't think we're going to get it in all kinds of tracks either. It's going to be specific tracks to start off with.
So I was looking for the comment, but somewhere along the way I read that if you put the wet tires on the car and you look at the tires, they're still slick. But if you drive them, they're different. They're true it's like driving a wet tire on a dry track. They're slower than regular tires.
Well, and they'll heat up.
So they're actually there. They're just not there visually, but you can select them in the garage and you can drive them.
That's cool. And I don't think it's selectable right now anyway, right? That got changed.
I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody brought up, I don't know where I was reading, maybe the forums, but having this as a fun hosted race, using your wet rain tires on a dry course and see how long you can last, or what different tire strategy you can come up with.
Boy, everybody was hoping for that patch that got rid of the cooling the tires in the grass, because that would be the only way to keep them cool.
Could you imagine Mike trying to save those tires?
Oh my god!
They'd be done in qualifying.
How did Mike? Why is Mike going in on the pace lap? He's got to get tires already.
Force tires out. But yeah, and another thing is just because they had introduced rain, even let's just say they did for before the Daytona 24, wouldn't wouldn't it wouldn't it be based on the local weather patterns and stuff like that? That doesn't mean it's necessarily going to rain. Um, it's just a possibility. You know what I mean? It's available if the weather conditions turn out that way. If it did rain, it would almost feel like it was forced, just to make it happen, as opposed to being based on actual weather patterns in the area of the track.
You're right. When it happens, I want it to be natural, you know.
Exactly.
So what they're gonna have to do, what Brian you're saying is, at some point they're gonna everything's gonna have to follow the. They're gonna have to have a weather pattern in iRacing that follows what the real world, like they're gonna have to use, it's kind of like what Microsoft Flight Simulator did, where they can use the real data from um, weather networks to incorporate it into to it and it would create its own weather pattern.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think it would have to be live data. It could just be, like if you have a year's worth of
Sample.
patterns for a certain area, and you just base it on that. What maybe it doesn't rain as much in August as it does in September, or something like that.
Can you imagine paying $8 a month for a badass racing simulator that can do things like that? I mean, that's probably why I don't complain too much.
But the simulator's dying.
I still laugh every time we start talking about the subscription price when I look at my rig.
The rig didn't nickel and dime me though. The rig was like taking a leg and arm off at a time.
That's right. All right, let's jump into that patch I mentioned. We talked about already. So season one, patch two, release notes. Scrambled looking through it, looking for that rain. It's not there. So what did we get? Some iRacing UI fixes. Well, that's good. I still found another place in the. I went to go test a car, and I went to go pick a track, and I couldn't scroll the list of tracks because I don't have a scroll wheel on my rig. I had and I couldn't touch into it and arrow down either. Yeah, it's a great. It's done. It's really good right now. They got so much work to do, and to think that they're taking away the website in 3 months, in less than 3 months. Wow.
Interesting. I heard, and I wish I could find. I'm trying to look for it now, but people are having a problem with the restart zone becoming an issue. I've ran very few oval races since the restart zone became a thing. Mike, have you noticed anything in the NIS races, or people have been taken off in the restart zone?
We don't have the restart zone in IS races that I'm aware of.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do we know if it's
It's only hosted, isn't it?
They did fix some issues with that with that race restart zone. They adjusted the jump start black flag detection rules for rolling starts to try to make false black flags less likely to happen.
now? Do we know if it's running in A Open? Because we've been running it in the Winter Series, and the restarts have been so much nicer. There's so much less stupidity on the restarts in the Winter Series with that rule in effect.
In the league, yeah, it's been real smooth, hasn't it? Nobody's really had a problem with it.
We haven't had any quick cautions, which most of the time end up happening because somebody jumps a restart to force a three wide.
So but onto the cars, they adjusted damage model on some of the cars, reduced the stiffness and friction, um, BOP adjustments for the 24-hour cars. Some adjustments at the new VIR they put out recently with the trees. This little stuff.
They they fix an issue with the centripetal circuit. Does anybody use that? Have you ever used that circuit? I've never done it.
I used it to take pictures.
Pictures, and when I invite somebody over to try the rig out for the first time, I'll actually just stick them on there and say go to town before putting them on a track.
Brian, have you ever seen how you're supposed to use the track?
Yeah, I actually have seen how you're supposed to, but I've never done it.
So I've gone there to try to ride the fence. Like at one point, I think it was a long time ago, maybe 2013, 2014. I got the car, the A car, up on the fence and rode the fence all the way around that track. There's some physics for you.
You did a hail melon the whole way around there, did you?
Yeah, but the wheels were up on the fence. Okay, the car's
It's even better.
sideways, off the ground, off the track, up on the fence, driving the fence. Because you could, maybe the physics is right. I mean, you could carry enough speed. There was enough horsepower before NASCAR, neutered the car with the horsepower. There was enough horsepower back then. I could, I could keep it on the fence because the fence was such a tight angle because it's such a small track.
Not to get
Try it.
too real worldy, but they said they neutered the horsepower for the real world cars to save money. What's an extra 70 horsepower going to cost?
No, they didn't do it to save money. They did it because they wanted closer racing. They wanted more pack racing.
They want it more like the floor models they sell on Monday.
The motors are still built the same. They just take the spacer takes the power away.
All right, well, Brian, let's jump into World of Outlaws. It looks like we got a new first-time winner.
Yeah, so this is Monday's night race was week 7 of 10. They were at Cedar Lake Speedway. And Tim Smith, who is the points leader now, never hasn't won any races as of yet. Finally broke through and won the race, so which was really cool. So Tim Smith was actually had led the most laps and was in the championship lead going into this race, but has as yet had not won any races. So he finally got the monkey off his back and took the victory of this race. So if you remember, he was winning by 3 points or 2 points in the championship race over Alex Bergeron at the end of the race last week. And even though he won, Alex Bergeron finished second. Alex won his heat just like Tim Smith did, so he only gained a couple more points. So he does extend his lead technically, but it goes from like 2 points to 5 points, something like that. So still a super tight battle for the championship lead. Got 3 races left. When I was watching this race, especially the heat race that Alex Bergeron was in, because he actually started third in his heat, and Tim Smith had already won the pole and the first heat. So um, you could see Alex Bergeron driving like he was not quite desperate, but like he needed to move and get up there, and it was really interesting to watch because it's getting to the point where the championship's going to be on the line week after week for the next 3 weeks, and these guys are just looks like they're just going to be battling back and forth for the next for the till the championship. So next week's going to be at Knoxville Speedway, a really good track for these guys. They're going to be it's a real high speed track. They're going to be running the outside wall once it blows off, and the racing line is going to get real narrow at the top, and a lot of things can happen when that when that racing line on these dirt tracks gets way up against the wall, and yeah, it's going to be some cool stuff. So we got Tim Smith was first again, Bergeron was second, Tanner Pettit was third. Good run for him. Tyler Shell finished fourth, and Evan C finished fifth Monday night. And James Edens, who was in the top 5, had a terrible race. He got into an accident. So Tyler Shell is in third place. Alex Bergeron second. Timmy Smith leading with 3 races to go in the series. by 5 points.
Oh, Timothy Smith is just hot, hot, hot right now. Is the way I'm seeing this. I mean, he's won two in a
Yeah,
row,
he's
right?
been he hasn't. What'd you say? He won two in a row?
Right.
No, no, no. He has not won two in a row. This is his first win of the season
Oh, okay.
last night. He's just been putting in top five finishes on a regular basis, and
I
that's
get
how
it.
he's been able to take this points lead over guys like Hayden Carwell, who crashed out and has two wins. James Eden's crashed out; he has two wins, but they're all trailing behind Tim Smith, who up to Monday hadn't gotten a victory lane yet.
All right, Mike, we got a Coke update.
It's draft week, guys, and we just got the beginning of it happening. The first announcement was Jim Beaver Esports. They've announced Malik Ray and Garrett Lowe. I was a little surprised. Malik Ray and Jim Beaver seem like salt and pepper. I don't know, two different kind of people, but pretty neat. They're pairing up. Malik Ray on the back end is changing teams. He left, I think, Dead Zone, and he's going to Legacy or something like that. I would have to look, but he's changing back end teams as well. Garrett Lowe, he's a proven commodity, so a nice lineup and pretty cool for Jim to be the first to announce. And then also not on the script yet, but also announced earlier today, Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing announced Timothy Holmes, a rookie, and popular Hayden Honeycutt, who's been running truck and bush and excuse me, Xfinity races and that kind of thing. Uh, and so, yeah, our RFK Racing has their drivers as well. Caden Honeycutt was in the Chili Bowl as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, he's one of them in there.
All right, what do you think of this next thing, Greg? It looks like we've got real driverless race cars.
Yeah, so I guess Mike, we're posted it here, showing it from I guess the TikTok clip of it from a newscast that's interviewing a driverless AI robotic car. I guess it was doing over 100 miles an hour, and there's a couple of them on the track. I guess they were doing it was a driverless car race actually, and it was quite an interesting idea. Um, I don't know. The technology is crazy what we can do nowadays, and I think it's a cool step forward to learn some of these things with help sensors and things like that figure out for other technology on cars that we drive on the road.
I first saw this a few years back. I'll take a serious take on it. This is what could get motorsports into the collegiate level, I believe, into the technical schools maybe. And then if you're a part of those programs, then you branch out to real race teams because you're still working on other things besides the AI part of the car. You got suspension and chassis work to do and tire work. But I thought this was really cool. This could add to some race weekends, somewhere. But it'd be kind of cool to see colleges take this and run with it.
Saying that, do you think you know how they have they got next or this year they're bringing the Cup car to Le Mans? Do you think that they kind of have something like this down the road for an endurance race? They kind of put an AI car on the track. Like, I'm not saying in the next couple of years, but it's something maybe they enter in a category like that.
There would have to be some liability issues worked out before you do that. But yeah, why not?
So if you click his profile and you'll see the video of the actual news clip where they show the racing on track. So they had the CES show at Las Vegas, and this was a demonstration in conjunction with that. There were several teams, like 6 or 8, I think. They were from different countries, and so they had Team Germany, Team Italy, team, and so forth. And these are Indy Light cars with no drivers, and they're basically racing each other and trying to see which engineering team can push the car the fastest and win the race. And it was a fantastic, demonstration of what could be achieved at the in a very short amount of time, obviously. So, um, like you guys were saying, as this gets developed, we might have real AI driving cars that can race with real, race car drivers in an actual race.
You start to run into a point where the AI can outperform because they don't have to deal with the G forces. In fact, we're running into that with fighter planes now that they basically can't turn any faster or they knock out the drivers.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about nothing, fatigue, anything. You just have to worry about your electrical components lasting.
Yeah,
Remember
I
when
saw that
CART went
in
to
Top Gun.
Texas?
Yeah, yeah, they were blacking out in the corners. They were going so fast, and the G forces were so high.
But would you, oh man, let's say 20, 30 years down the road, would you watch a series of robots over a series of humans? I don't know if I could. I think at that point, I'd be tapping out. Who knows?
Is the robots any different than watching us race online?
It is,
Well,
because you
Yes.
have a human
Yes.
being behind the controls.
Yeah, but it's what we're doing isn't. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain what I'm thinking of. We're not real. We're artificial too.
What's the story when we watch racing? Is it the car?
Yes.
No. What's the story when we watch racing?
it's the personalities, it's the people,
It's
it's the
Dale
drivers.
Earnhardt.
Just listen to Rick Allen with one lap to
It's
go.
Mark Martin. It's the drivers. It's the
This
personalities.
But I hate to tell you, I have no idea. David, if you go into a race and you streamed it and I watched you, I have no idea who you, or a race that you were in with 20 different random people. It's no different. I wouldn't know who the personalities are.
Well, that's because I've got 2 viewers, and so I don't stream anymore.
I just meant a broadcast with you in it.
Yeah,
and another thing is especially with racing is without the drivers, there's not that risk of somebody getting hurt. I'm not saying that that's something that you watch it for. I know maybe some people do, but it's always part of the excitement of watching a race. There's always that element of danger that you can't do in a AI car.
So I just had a thought. An Indy 500 with AI, with no restrictions, no wickers on the wings. Like let's let the cars go as fast as they can go. Let's push the limit on the speeds. Let's let the teams go for it. Unlimited. Open up the rule book a little bit, and let's have a real fast race. Now, I think people would watch that maybe.
maybe, but there's
I
two
would
reasons for the rulebook: safety, cost.
I
That
wouldn't
and
want to be in the stands
yeah, spectator
for
safety.
that race.
You'd have empty stands for it. You'd have to televise it.
But it in a way it reminds me of uh, like when Big Blue beat Kasparov in this, or Watson beat Ken Jennings at Jeopardy. It's it's in a way it kind of you feel you're rooting for the human because that's what you are. And if the computers are beating these chess masters and Jeopardy champions, then you lose a little humanity in it, in my opinion. And when that goes away, it stops. Your investment goes away, and it's a little deflating as a human. I'm not ready to welcome our robot overlords just yet.
I I get what you guys are saying, that you think the cars are gonna go that much faster. But tires don't get more grip because they have no driver in it. I mean, you're still gonna have that limit of the car. I get that they were blacking out at a certain track, but the tire still has a slip angle, and once it's reached that slip angle, it ain't gonna be any more.
But we've already reached the point where a machine can outperform a man as far as G forces go. We're already there with the current tire.
Tire wider. Boom.
Yeah, if you make it wider, you slow it down. I don't think it's as simple as what you guys are making it sound to be.
That's a good point. I mean, they're doing Indy Light cars at Vegas, and as you see them go around the track, they don't look like they're going fast. I mean, they're not going like it as fast as the car can go.
Why are you saying they're not going as fast as they can go? If the car loses traction, the driver brings the car back to where it has traction again. So AI would do the exact same thing than having a driver. So if you're driving in the corner and the car doesn't have any grip to hold it, it's not because the driver ran out of G force or it was too much G force on the driver. It's the fact that there's no grip and the mechanical grip is gone or the aerodynamic grip's gone.
That's yeah, that has nothing to do with G forces. That's just my assuming. Well, they're Indy lights. They don't go as fast
Well, I was
as Indy
referring to
cars.
this specific event.
But
They weren't running them as fast as they could be run or anything like that. But
Well, they're not gonna risk losing all their funding, right? Like you wreck one of those cars and that's all that your data gone, right?
yeah, they didn't wreck anything. So
once you take the driver out, you can go faster because you don't have to worry about them blacking out. You can go more downforce. You can put more grip in the tire.
I, I isn't this the same argument we have every time with NASCAR? Make a better tire. I don't know where you're getting that you could just put more into it. The cars are an Indy car is at its max for the most part.
And they blacked out at Texas.
Okay, so you get a little bit more at that track, but it's not that bigger. It's not that much more. The car only has so much grip.
idle idea. All right, what about the Roar? Let's move on. The Roar is tomorrow. Tony, Rochette, and I are going to run tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. There are also starts available on Saturday at 2, 7, and 11 Eastern. Who else is running? And what car are you running?
I'll be running Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Pacific time in the BMW M4.
Wow, you're going to set an alarm and get up and race.
You know, I'm kind of excited for it. I was going to say this for final thoughts, but I like to wake up early as it is. But by the time I'm over with this race, people will they'll be waking up around the house. Can run some errands in the morning, got a big football game in the afternoon, and then we got the majors event Saturday night. So it's going to be a fun Saturday.
So you didn't tell us when you're going to take a nap. You got to fit a nap in there somewhere, right?
After the majors race and before dinner, probably.
There you go. So I'll run the Toyota, new Toyota 86. What do they call it? GR 86.
Yeah,
I hope they're a little quicker than the Mazdas.
they will be.
And
You
so, yeah, I'll miss the winter NIS because of it. But that's okay. Like I said, I'm going to be one and done with that series for the week.
Have you been the slower car in a multi-class event yet, Mike?
Oh yeah, not recently, but I have in the past.
I'm learning that this week, and it's actually quite the challenge to be the slower car on the track, especially when you got jet cars coming from behind.
Yeah, watch the mirrors. And then the next event is next week, and that's the big race, the Daytona 24. And yeah, I actually went to go practice for this and was kind of dismayed to see that the official series are not at the Daytona track. They're at some other track that I don't own.
Well, it looks different now because I'm looking. Um, the start date, the 17th, is actually going to be Daytona because they're at Magny Core this week. They'll be at Daytona next week as we're prepping for Daytona.
Oh, okay. So I'm just
It, it,
a week early.
it must have gotten adjusted because it wasn't that way a week ago.
Is Mike trying
They
to
heard you
practice?
a little, but like a practice race. I don't practice race. Like
Well, don't
so there's a
forget you
lot of
got.
hosted.
Don't forget you got that. The thing where you can reset the active reset.
The biggest challenge in the endurance is the multi-class.
So speaking of active reset, I'll divulge a little bit on what happened there. I tested with that today at the Indy Pro at the Phoenix Oval, turn 1 and 2, over and over and over again, trying to nail it, trying to figure out how to get that late apex to get the most run off the corner. And I ran it, I active reset it maybe 30, 40 times in a row. And what was interesting is the very first time when I pushed the button and set the line to start with, that was pretty much my fastest time the entire exercise. Like I never made my time better. Maybe a little bit once, but the very first time I did it, it was the best time I did. So I don't know if it helped me.
That's pretty funny. I like that. You got worse as
I got worse,
as you
yeah, as I
practiced.
kept doing it. Well, after 30, 40 times, I was like, I'm going to park it.
Do you think?
Yeah, that's with any practice. You have to. You can't zone out. You know what I mean? It's easy to zone out when you're doing something like that. You've really got to stay engaged the entire time.
Now, Mike, when you pushed, like, where did you have like a straightaway before you did it?
The initial button right at the start finish line.
Oh,
Now this
okay.
Phoenix going into 1 and 2. So right about the start finish line, it's already in sixth gear. It's at the highest speed, and that gives me just a moment to set up for the corner and go.
Hmm.
Just exited the turn 4 or the last turn. Give yourself a little bit more time to get back in the car.
Yeah, I think that's why he's not as fast, is because there's no time to relax when it first clicks back.
How's your guys' team coming along? Do you guys have all the time slots filled up?
Yeah,
We
I think
do.
we're good. And the other team, I guess Chris Scales, they recruited him back to help out and filled a spot, and so I think we're good.
Yeah, we got on Team GT, and I think Tyler's working on a paint scheme for us right now. So
You mean you guys didn't bring Flowers back?
he was mentioned.
David Flowers? That's funny. Yeah, David Flowers was a admin on our team for a long time.
I know nothing.
He's gonna go down for more than just the admin part as a team history of Tifosi Racing.
Anybody want to talk about the balance of power on the 24 cars?
Haven't
Yeah,
noticed
so let's
nothing yet.
talk about it.
All right. 10 kilograms to the Ferrari, 10 kilograms to the Mercedes, minus 1% power and fuel on the 911.
All right. Seems fair.
It just means the Ferrari and the Mercedes definitely had an advantage on the straights.
I I think I noticed that a couple weeks back that it did seem quicker. You'd be able to catch cars, but a little slower in the turns. But that's my driving style. Who knows?
Each car always has a certain tracks that they favor, or certain types of um, certain types of uh, circuit layouts, and the GTD category is definitely one of the harder ones to. I know David loves the Ferrari in that series, in any of this series races he races with it. I've experimented with like a bunch of different ones on it, but yeah, it's harder depending on um, what track you're at.
I only have the GTE Ferrari.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is that. Oh, this is the GT3s. That's right. So what do you would have the Mercedes, wouldn't you? Or you had the old one though.
I run the Mercedes, the McLaren, the Audi, the Lambo, some of those.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. You can find us on Discord and our website, iRacersLounge.com. We are in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network and uh, the Sim Racing channel on Roku TV.
I rock. I rock.
We still need to change the script.
I gotta get that. You had Kyle on last week. You could have asked him.
All right, let's kick off Metro Ford hardware stories with the Denasma DMG-1. Take it off, Mike.
Well, this is the craziest looking thing you've ever seen. They call it the most realistic F1 simulator money can buy. And it's a 6-minute video that basically shows it off at Autosport, their YouTube channel. And this is the company that built it for Ferrari, the Formula One team Ferrari. They installed it there in Italy, and they're basically offering the same thing for sale to consumers. You can buy basically the same setup that Ferrari uses.
And how much? About $1 million?
Uh, I don't think I got a price, so you know how that goes.
I heard these things can cost up to $1 million. These big sims. So, I mean, and the space it looks like you'll need for this thing. Obviously, it is spectacular, but yeah.
You're looking at big money. Big money.
You know, I think I might have heard in the video what it was, and I want to say 3 million, but I don't remember specifically.
What graphic card do you think they're using?
I don't know. Obviously they have a projection set up on a round screen, that's outside of the car.
I'm guessing it's purpose built. I don't think there's anything that's going to be upgradable.
What's weird, the only piece of the car you see is the tires. You don't see any of the chassis.
Yeah, because when you're sitting in the sim, that's how it feels. It's how you're. It's the only two things you're going to be able to see from the cockpit, and it's just that's how they've always done the sims for the F1 teams.
Like why draw it because the driver can't see it?
Yeah, when you're sitting in that cockpit, you don't even notice that that's all that's on the screen.
Well, you're sitting in your FOV, so what you can see on your cockpit is what you'd see in real life anyway. And then the only thing externally you'd need to see are the tires. But I don't know, are the tires, 10 feet to his left?
Well, it's all about perspective. I mean,
I think it's the angle.
you got to get, and that's the trick. If you buy these huge triples or something like that, you got to get the distance from the rig or the eyeball to the screen just right, for everything, the perspective to be right.
Yeah, now obviously this is super cool, and any one of us would love to have it, but it's a little unrealistic for, I guess, our hobby space. But other than that, it's awesome to see.
Go to the 4-minute 20 mark, 4-minute 20 on the video. They show a wide shot of this unit, and you can see the projection system up above on scaffolding and trusses. I see one, two, three, four, five, maybe six different projectors.
Yeah, so we need a personal mechanic along with this package. Then you'll need health insurance for
You'll
them,
need a
and
rigger.
benefits.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at how they run F1 teams sims, they got a bunch of engineers in behind watching them while they're on the sim, calculating things, changing. They can change um, environmental stuff for the driver and things like that as well. So that's um, you're obviously not going to get that if you purchase it for your own house, but definitely kind of it's definitely cool that it's off of this. But you need a pretty big man cave or room to put it in.
Well, it's very, I was going to say those projectors are up high. If you see how high they are, this wouldn't fit in a regular room. I mean, you'd have to have like a large garage or warehouse kind of thing.
Do you think they would fit on a 12-foot ceiling? Like if there was a 12-foot ceilings?
That looks higher than 12 foot.
I'd like to know what kind of hardware they're running, wheel and pedals.
Well, if it was Ferrari, you obviously have the rim would be all their stuff that would their rim would be, right?
The
I mean, those
Thrustmaster stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's a Thrustmaster.
the trusses that hold the projectors up are at least 20 feet by my estimation.
So yeah, you just purchase yourself a nice 50 by 50 metal building in your backyard, and pour the pad, get the electricity run out there. So it'd be spectacular, to be honest.
Well, for a few million less, you can now run a Moza FSR on any wheelbase, Donnie.
Yeah, so Sean Cole from the Sim Pit put out this video. Shows you how to use a Moza FSR wheel on any wheelbase. So does this help them get around their proprietary issue that Moza would have? And this would help, I believe, um, even attack into Fanatec's market even more.
50 bucks. It looks like a little Ethernet port hub with like 4 ports on it. That's what it looks like. But it takes, like you said, the Moza proprietary cable or whatever and converts it to a regular USB to go into a computer.
So, Mike, you see the hub, you see the wires. What do you think is better, the Podium hub or this hub?
Well, I think that the hub is nice. This $50 item is nice because anything Moza you can use on with any wheelbase. I mean, that's what it can accomplish. Like you can buy their shifter too and plug it into this thing and be able to use it on any setup as well. As far as trying to compare it to the podium hub that Fanatec has, that has like play in it, and as you know, I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't know about Moses quick release, but I'm sure it doesn't have any play.
So this is their way of you using a Moza wheel with a different wheelbase. What about the opposite?
Don't know about that because you have to have it in reverse. You'd have to have their you'd have to be able to use so you want to use a different wheel on their hub. They don't have a way to connect a different wheel to that hub, I don't think.
No, I don't think they do, but the Invicta does. The one that put out the 3 new bases at the Sim Expo, They have where you can put a cube control or a Gomez or whatever on their wheelbase. They were touting that as a feature, but I haven't heard that most. No,
And did you mention that you had to also get the mount adapter that goes to the hub to connect it to a different wheelbase? I don't know if you mentioned that or not, but you have
no,
to get
yeah. There's another
the
piece.
hub for the wires, and then there's a mount adapter that connects to the Moza Quick Connect that has the bolt patterns for most normal wheels that can attach to different things. If you had a universal hub, you could technically you could put this adapter on and hook it onto a Fanatec universal hub, and then use the other hub for the wiring. So you could have a DD1 and could use this Moza FSR wheel with these two pieces on it, which is really cool because that Moza FSR for the money might be the best deal as far as Formula wheels go with LED
Display.
screens and everything else. I mean, it's $650, and that's a hard price to beat for a Formula wheel with a LED screen on it. So it's a good
Yeah,
deal, and it wouldn't take a whole lot to switch it over to where you could fit it on a different wheelbase. And that was one of the downsides that people had against Moza when they were coming out, is that their ecosystem was proprietary and you couldn't switch one for the other. But now it looks like you might be able to do that, and they might wind up selling more of these wheels because of it.
I agree. I mean, all these wheels, and we kind of joked about this in the chat today that we're having wheel fatigue lately, Formula wheel fatigue. Why? Because there's so many of them that they just inundate you from all these different companies. Uh, but you're right. The price point on this is on the low end when you look at all these different wheels. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a no-brainer to certainly consider it.
Well, the next one, Brian, is not a wheel. It's a MagSafe charger. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. So what it is, it's a magnetic phone holder charger that you can mount on your rig. So you can take your phone, and it magnetically connects to this device, which will attach to your rig, and it charges it at the same time. So um, if you're one of those guys who use SimHub on your phone, this is a great little piece that will give you those dashboards that you can port to your telephone, to your iPhone, and keep it charged and mounted in a nice place. So pretty neat little idea. I didn't catch the price on it, but as far as simplicity and but functionality, I think this is a really cool product. The only downside is I don't think it holds Hershey bars.
I like it. I mean, obviously iPhone 12 and newer has MagSafe, which is magnets in the back of the phone in a size of a silver dollar. You can't see them, but they're very strong. And about half the cases you buy for these phones are MagSafe compatible, which means they'll work even in the case. So the idea with this is you sit down at your rig, you got to put your iPhone somewhere. Well, you just slap it against this thing and it magnetically holds it securely and safely. It also would double as a dash. If you could mount this some way in front of your wheel and turn it sideways, it would work great for that too. Um, I love it. I actually spent a lot of money on an iPhone holder that's pretty convenient. It's not like this, but it was expensive. I spent like $90 on it. This is just a piece of plastic 3D printed that you mount to your 8020.
Yeah, I feel silly. I have magnetic mounts in all my cars that I operate, and I don't even know why I haven't thought to do this on the rig yet. But yeah, good idea.
All right, Donnie, let's talk about this Grid Index review that's next.
Yeah, Adam Hart on his YouTube channel says that the new Grid MPX Formula wheel is the perfect racing wheel for him. and you guys went over this wheel last week, and this is just another video about it. This one just shows us unboxing it. I think this is the all black version of it, which looks really nice. I'm a fan of the all black versions of these wheels that have been coming out lately, but I don't know. He likes it. I like it. Doesn't come with the screen, obviously, but I just like the simplicity of it. And this is Sim Labs, right, Mike?
Yeah, Grid Engineering by Sim Labs. And Engineering was a company in Canada. I actually bought my SimLab rig from them. They were like a distributor for SimLab and other people. And apparently they got bought out or combined or something. But yeah, I mean, $875. I mean, when you look at that price with no screen compared to that Moza with the screen at the lower price, it really points out that value of the Moza, by the way.
Yeah, and this I like the button shrouds for this wheel. They're molded in with the grips of the wheel. He goes over that. But that 875 mark is the same price as a Gomez wheel without a screen. That one's been on my target lately. About to pull the trigger potentially on that wheel. I'm finding probably in agreement with you, Mike, that I don't think I need a screen on my wheel. I don't know. I'm not finding the need for it so far. So I might be going that route. But this one doesn't look too bad either.
Thing with the screens, so many of the third-party apps are so much more superior because you can switch them for every car, and they're just constantly being updated.
Well, you got to say some of the wheels screens can be fed by Sim Hub, and you can put custom screens up. It just depends on the wheel.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I haven't had a screen on my wheel to really know if I'd even look at it, but I mean, I think the Gomez, the top end Gomez wheel is 1,400, and to get a top end without it is 875. So you're spending almost $600-700 for a screen on the wheel. So I'm not sure if I necessarily need it, but this wheel hits right in the same price point as that Gomez wheel I'm looking at.
You know, I say it every time, but I'll just say it again. The way you're going to have to hook a wire to the back of this thing, and you have to like push it in just right, line it up, screw it down, and every time you switch wheels, you got to do that. Right now, when I switch wheels, it's a pretty quick process because the cable's magnetic. I literally rip it off. And when I stick it on there, I got to get it close, and then the magnet just draws it in. So I can't tell you how convenient it is with that magnetic connector. Now I know you're only going to get that with cube controls, because it's proprietary to them, but man, it would be great if these other manufacturers somehow picked up on that and came up with a similar solution.
I'm wondering what the pull in pull out limit would be on a setup like that. Like how many times are you allowed to pull out before that connection goes bad?
Well, when you can look at it, when you look at the back picture of this wheel, it's got 6 pins and it's got a notch you got to line up. I mean, if you're careful with it, I'm sure it's fine.
Why don't we go ahead and pull over to the next topic, Greg?
Uh, One of my favorite companies that I've dealt with here is Advanced Sim Racing, and they've tweeted that they found, they're calling it the holy grail of VR. After testing every single VR headset on the market for the past 2 years, they found the one product that sim racers should uh, aspire to for the ultimate experience. I'm guessing it's called. Is it? Do they call it a Vigero? Arrow?
Yeah, you guys have
Arrow,
gone over
yeah.
this before in the past.
Yeah, we've
headset.
covered this.
Yeah, arrow.
It's
Yeah.
one of the higher end ones.
2,800. Well, it's almost $2,900 Canadian. I don't know. It's probably like $10 American.
21 free shipping.
It's about $2,000. It's about $2,000.
2200.
Yeah, 2,200. I just switched it over. I forget that I always have that site set on Canadian. It's only like 2 people that'll want that number.
I'm starting to remember when I bought my rig to these guys. Did I pay taxes? Because I didn't pay shipping. I'm curious if I even pay taxes. So I think $21.99 might be your price. Well, not your price. Our price.
Not my price, because I got to pay 13% on top of that if it was Canadian.
It says below, free shipping, no import fees.
And I'm with Greg. This company is awesome. Their customer service is awesome. So if you are looking for something, check with these guys first and see if they offer it, because they don't just sell their stuff. They obviously sell third-party merchandise with their free shipping.
They're in Montreal and they're hiring. I saw something that said they were hiring. And it's just neat to have
Yeah,
a place to get the goggles if you decide to buy them. And this is a great company to buy them from.
they were running a Black Friday sale on the Arrow. Um, I think it was $300 off. I think Steve was talking about it with us. So there was a little bit of discount on Black Friday. And, I'm glad I didn't know about that, because I probably would have ordered one, because I've been drooling over this bad boy for a while. The only question is do I have the computer to run it to where it to get all the benefit out of it? You know, I got a 3090 Ti, and so I think I'd be okay and get a lot of the benefits out of it. But I think these next gen graphics cards, 4000s, are really probably where you want to be for a headset with the kind of a resolution capability to where you're not dialing things back to where to get the frame rates up. But I'm dying to just try it to see how much difference this headset is than like the HP Reverb 2 like we got. Um, but I'm dying to try this. Another thing is this doesn't come with any of the base stations that you're going to need if you're going to use it for something other than sim racing, um, and uh, and you pretty much have to use headphones with it, because the the uh, the sound on this is not top notch. So I have all that stuff. So, and I don't think I would use the base stations, but at this, and I really want to just at least try it.
It's an expensive project to buy those 2200 for the goggles, and then, God knows how much for the computer to go with it.
All right, Brian, go in another direction. We got a really nice vintage looking rig to review.
Yeah, this was posted on Sim Alpha Project, and basically what it is this guy set up his racing rig, and it looks like he's using actual real car parts. It's not a regular wheelbase and rim that you would normally see. It's got a full dash. With a shifter that's attached to it, where the shifter is built into the dashboard as well. You know, your standard speedometer and RPM gauge, tachometer, all that stuff is in there. So, and with a real car seat, so it's not a real seat. So really cool looking. I think he looked like he just upgraded from PS4 to PC, so he's starting to run PCs with this thing. The pedals are look really good where they're at. Um, so it's really well made. I think he's I'm not sure where he's from, but I'm not sure what this language is.
The steering wheel, if you look at the emblem, it looks like Alfa Romeo. So I think,
Yeah, it's an alpha. I don't.
And if that's the dashboard as well from the Alfa Romeo, I guess.
I don't know if that dashboard is from Alfa Romeo. It doesn't. It kind of reminds me more of like. Actually, it's probably not even. I thought for a second it was a Toyota Supra, like an old gen Supra setup, but I don't think it is, because usually the Supras are more like cockpit based. So I couldn't tell you which dash that is.
pedals appear to be inverted G27 pedals.
I always like the the quality of these builds. is somebody that has a passion of recreating something. I'm curious if the dash components work in sim, or I don't even know what game he's playing up there.
Like the FM radio, like you could turn on the stereo. Good. Let's kick on the air conditioner.
So looking closer at it, it is an Alfa Romeo. It's all Alfa Romeo chassis.
Pretty neat project.
It's a the left-hand driver too, so that's it's kind of different for Europeans, right?
We have an Alfa Romeo dealership here in town.
The only European country that right-hand drives is actually Britain. As soon as you cross
Okay.
into France, you're driving on the right side.
Is that because they're on an island?
It's just because that's what they wanted to
Literally.
do.
Isn't Australia backwards too?
They're still a part of the Commonwealth, I believe.
That's a really big island.
That's true.
So speaking about the Brits, how about some triple screen glory? I'll take this one. Dave Cam, one of our favorite YouTube channels, he goes through and shows us how he sets up for triple screen monitors. He said it's his number one question from viewers is, hey, can you send me your settings? So instead of doing that, he just made a video and he literally shows you in iRacing exactly what he does with the settings and so forth, and how he determines the angles and all that.
What graphic card does he run, Mike?
I didn't catch that. Not sure.
Because I watched
I
one
know.
from Tommy Brandon, and we run with him in the Winter NIS series, and it was a great video. But he goes into the app INI and then does some other things. And at that point, I was like, I'll stick with NVIDIA Surround until. But I think Bobby, Jonah's teammate, he posted in our group chat not too long ago that he was able to do it without going through NVIDIA Surround. So
I don't use NVIDIA Surround.
I just, wasn't too comfortable quite yet. But maybe during a break, I'll give it a go again. But I'll watch this video for sure and see what Dave has to say.
I never liked the NVIDIA Surround for it, and especially if you want to stream stream it all, it doesn't get your screen doesn't get compressed then for when you stream for your viewers.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was easy for the AMD side for us to just click a button and it turned off, and then you click another button, it turns back on. Forgot the hell they called theirs. iFinity, I think.
This next one is a bit insane. It's like a VR that wears you. Brian, have you checked this out? I'm not quite sure. It actually doesn't seem like you're like right on top of it like you would think you would be.
Yeah, it's it's a it's called the Radeon VR, and it's VR-like display. And
Is that Geordi's headset from Star Trek?
yeah, it looks like a
Side.
blown up one. Doesn't it? It looks almost like a curved VR headset, except it's about 2.5, 3 feet wide,
Like a curved
and,
monitor.
and a foot tall. Yeah, it's almost like a curved monitor. Yeah, but apparently it gives you the VR three-dimensional type of display on it. So it's almost like you're taking the VR display and putting it on a circular type of monitor. So I'm assuming that's the gig is that you're able to get the 3D effects and depth that you get from this thing. So it's definitely different. I'm not really seeing that would be fun to do, but I don't know.
Has
Bottom of the article will give you a better perspective of how it works. But you're right. You just sit at a desk and this monitor thing is kind of right in front of you. You're not wearing it like goggles, you're a foot or 2 foot away from it.
It's weird. I don't wear these monitors like goggles.
like this is what reminds me. Did anybody seen the movie Spaceballs?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
reminds me if they were making fun of VR, this is what they would wear.
like over exaggerated version of it, like dark helmet with his
Yeah.
helmet. Yeah.
Well, you can tell from the video that the other camera is picking up a lot of weird artifacts. So that's got to be how they're doing something to create the 3D effectiveness. Because just a flat screen
Yeah.
wouldn't give you 3D.
But you can see
Yeah.
the screen breakups in the video as well, and just looks weird.
Yeah, and one of the things that's cool about the part is that you kind of your surroundings are not you don't see any surroundings, so you get more of a immersive feeling with this thing. You can look all around and see your room all around you, and it's more like staring at a monitor that's like real close to your face. It doesn't look comfortable to me.
You know, I'm
Oh,
probably the last guy on the team that can speak on tech, but this looks a little ridiculous.
I,
so one of my aversions to VR is I don't want something on my face. It's too hot. I live in Arizona. I sweat. I sweat even with not wearing it. So I definitely don't want something on my face. So maybe this is VR for somebody like me.
Well, with your wind simulators, you can get that wind blowing in your face while you're in VR.
aren't we told aren't we told all over our lives not to sit too close to the TV or the monitor?
Yeah, tell that
This
to
is
David,
VR.
who's
That's
putting
not a
these
monitor.
screens an inch from his eyeball every day.
I feel like my eyes have gotten worse since I've started with a computer desk job as opposed to being in VR.
Yeah, it has nothing about getting old, right? It's got to be all. It's the other fault, right?
Exactly.
All right, Brian, take us back into a little bit of more of the normal world with this next one.
Yeah, this is called a Inizio cockpit. It's a 80/20 type of cockpit. It's very streamlined and very formula style. It's got the cradled seat that's really curved, and you really lean back into it, and the cradles your bottom side. Matter of fact, it's what's really unusual that I've never seen before is the rig is raised off the ground maybe about 6 inches, but the cradle and seat actually is almost at floor level. So you're actually sitting below the bottom rungs of this 80/20 rig, which is very unusual. It's going to get your feet up real high, just like a Formula style. Um, it's not super structurally overwhelming. Doesn't have a whole lot of structure around it. Just the base and the uprights for the wheelbase and for the pedals. So it looks like you would need a lot of things added to this to make it more functional. If you needed a place for your mouse or keyboard, it's like something you would probably have to add to that. And where would you put the monitor on this as well? If you're not in VR, you would probably have to get a separate monitor mount and get it moved up real close to the wheelbase to make it work right.
Yeah, you
It's
know
on
what?
sale.
I don't hate this look at all. If you wanted a second rig to try something different, but I'm trying to find where the price comes in.
$800. It's on sale from 1100.
Where's $800 here? If unless you get the wheelbase, the wheel, and the pedals with it.
Uh, yeah, good point. I mean, the seat maybe is a big chunk of it. I don't know, but you're right. There's not a lot of metal here,
So
to be honest.
I just bought some extrusion myself from an aftermarket source, and I'm looking at this, and you can probably get this for maybe I would say less than $200. The extrusion that's here with the hardware.
Right, and add the seat to it. You got your own.
I like it though. I mean, I always thought before I got into this hobby, when I was designing my original rig, I thought it'd be cool to design a second rig that can go next to it, a formula style rig, and then somehow work the computer and the monitor with it to where you just have to plug something in and whatever. But I don't hate this design. It's easy to actually steal and make your own.
I mean that, like you said, the butt is way lower than the pedals. I think a lot of Formula rigs we don't see it at that extreme. It's usually they're almost equal.
When you look at a side diagram of an F1 car, their feet are almost at their head when they're laying down. They're almost their feet are almost that high.
Okay. So this is true to form.
Close, yeah.
All right, Mike. The next one we've got is a new wheel, a new wheel, a new wheel. Oh wait, sorry. Is it not? There's no title.
Uh, Are you on the right story?
The one that's after the Enzio cockpit.
Yeah, I see Slim Line Sim Hardware.
Yeah,
Okay, I must not be up to
yeah, you're
date on
not
the
updated
script.
on your scripts. Yeah,
And anyway, I'll take this one. This is basically a company review. They're out of the EU and they have a wheel, and it's a new wheel, and it's called the Leo XZ XF1 Sport. And it's a formula wheel with a display, carbon fiber, lots of fancy colored buttons. It's got that Gomez wheel look almost. Uh, Price. Now, I don't even know what currency this is. I'll have to take a look. And yeah, I don't know. And then I haven't really figured out which country it is either because it's in another language.
it's Polish. It's from
Polish. There we
Poland.
go.
Yeah,
So it's 2,263 Polish dollars, whatever they call them. It looks like they do offer shipping to the United States. It does say that. And what about the wheel itself, guys? What do you think of the look of it?
It looks similar
I'm
to some of the
impressed.
wheels we've been seeing, but yeah, it looks good. What does that convert
I
to?
mean,
Did we convert that?
no, I Googled it. It didn't come up with anything.
You're looking at the
I,
Leo X XF1 Sport.
I really like the look of it, though. It looks very high quality. But man, like I said before, these Formula wheels, there's so many of them. Man, triple paddles on each side on the back. That's awesome too.
It's really hard to give a recommendation on the wheels now. It's like here they are. Take your pick.
Flip a coin. Well, I mean, where do you want to get it shipped from is a consideration. You want to buy local to your country? There's all kinds of considerations.
All right, Donnie. Next up, we've got a gaming pad haptic review.
Yeah, HF8 gaming pad review by Simpit. He reviewed the haptic feedback gaming pad throughout the video. So it's basically an insert you'd put on top of your seat, kind of like I don't know, just an insert
Like a
you put on top
massage
of your
pad.
seat. Yeah, like a massage pad. There you go. He did say there was only one function that iRacing supports right now, but he was able to go in through some other programming to get it to work. But for the good, he put gives you a new level of immersion. It's a comfortable pad to sit on. The game physics controlled by vibrations. So, what do you say about the bad, Mike?
Well, first of all, I want to point out he wasn't the only one who did a review. We only have two videos on the script of the two different reviews, but I've actually seen about five or six. Uh, this is from Next Level Racing, and they obviously got their pad out to all these different YouTube reviewers at the same time. They all dropped their videos at the same time. This thing went on sale at the same time. So I got to say, they did a real big push to get this product out. As far as you know, what these reviews are saying, I mean, a lot of people like it. because it gives you that butt kicker feel, but more on a more personal level because it's right up against you. And I think that's what the beauty of my butt kicker is when it's mounted right under my butt, literally an inch away. It's close enough to really give you a additional immersion more so than if it's attached to the rig and it's rattling the rig. But with this, it's got 8 different pads. You can run it by audio, or you can run it by just plugging it directly in and getting like uh, the force feedback information, or what do you call it, telemetry. So it runs off both. He said the audio didn't work very well at all. It was kind of mushy. Um, and he really had to dial in the different effects and turn off some. And he ended up putting certain effects up on the back and certain effects under his leg. And by separating them, he got some better immersion because of that.
Yeah, one of his cons was saying that it'll raise you by 2 inches. I'm I run in a medium sized seat. It's a little snug for me, but I like it to be. Never mind. I like it to be snugger than the average seat, I guess. So this probably wouldn't work in the current seat I run now, but I do like the idea of it. This is the first one we've seen of this kind, right?
Well, we've had these before from other companies, but I don't know if we've had any that have been effective.
Yeah, there was
Staying power.
one a while ago. Yeah, there was one a while ago where people were not getting their orders forever, and there was a lot of problems with it. But this one looks like it's going to be a lot better, but lot better supplied and stuff. Um, Another thing that he mentioned on this, you mentioned that it can run off of a 3.5 jack, so you can play console games with it. You'll feel explosions and stuff like that as you're sitting down playing console games. And there's also they're doing a contest too. If you go to Sean Cole's The Sim Pit, he shows you the links to enter the contest. They're giving away like 5 or 6 of them. So if you want to try that out.
$229. You can buy direct from nextlevelracing.com now. A good company, trustworthy. I don't think you're going to have a problem, ordering a product and not having it delivered with this company, like the ones we've talked about before. So they have that going for them. Like you said, Donnie, moving the seat up 2 inches and the seat forward about an inch or two because of the padding. Um, might mess up some people. I mean, I think it would affect me because I'm real keen about making sure I'm not sitting up too tall or sitting down too short. And so he made sure to say, look, you may have to adjust your seat, your wheel, and your pedals if you're going to use this on a regular basis. My other thought is, after watching some of the videos, I don't think you would want to mix this with traditional butt kickers. I think this is a butt kicker alternative. Hey, I'm on a budget. I'm sitting at a desk. Maybe I have a desk chair. This is a great add-on to that situation, man. A desk chair and you're sitting at a desk with a clamp-on wheel. Man, for 229, you can get some huge immersion to that situation. I just think if you had butt kickers and it would muddy the waters, it's just too much vibration, too much going on, you know?
All right, let's
There's
wrap up
one
the
left
hardware. Yeah, let's wrap up the hardware. Mike, we got one more Formula Wheel.
by a company called Cosworth. Yes, you've heard of Cosworth. They used to provide engines for kart back in the day. They used to be associated with Ford, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the engine maker Cosworth, they have unveiled their first sim wheel called the CCW MK2 Pro Sim Steering Wheel.
Yeah, they just don't make engines, Mike. They make steering wheels for IndyCar. So this could be depending on what price point they come out with, but this is a real steering wheel company making sim steering wheels now. I wonder what this could do for the sim market, because this isn't a hardware, you maker coming up with a wheel. This is an actual company that has perfected this. in the racing world and now making it for the sim industry. So I'm curious what the price point will be for this because this could change things a bit.
We've already had several wheels that can go back and forth between the sim rig and a real race car.
Yeah, made by hardware companies now, but these are steering wheel people.
Now, it does say they're in
Well,
collaboration
there's
with
another example.
SimTag.
Yeah, I was going to say, Donnie, there's a MPI has a division of
You're right. You're right.
sim wheel products, so they're actual a wheel manufacturer that does sim stuff. But they are about half the price of their real world counterparts, and I think that has more to do with the rigor, the testing and all that has to go through, and the certifications that wheels have to meet, as opposed to anything else. I think it's you don't have to do all that stuff when you're to a sim rig.
Yeah. So SimTag is a sim hardware company, and they're collaborating with them on the product apparently. And they showed the product at the Birmingham National Exhibition Center for the Autosport International Motorsport event just recently on the 12th.
But also to your point, Donnie, which I think is cool, is part of the reason I got an MPI steering wheel is because I wanted a wheel that was just like the ones that are in real cars. And if Cosworth is basically making this Formula wheel is the same way that they're making the ones that they're putting in real cars, it's a kind of immersion and the kind of you know just the commonality that you have between the real thing and your sim product there.
What's the price point? We don't know yet. So
Yeah, it's
they
not
haven't
listed
announced
yet.
that. It's not for sale yet. You know, is it going to be, let's try to guess, is it going to be similar to what we see with those Mercedes and the BMW and the
The
Bentley and all
Porsche
that?
rim. I
I
think it's going to be like one of the Porsche ones.
No,
Be my guess.
I'll go 1,500. I'll say they'll get that market because I think
Let's
that twenty
let's
four
go
hundred dollar
Mitch.
Porsche
Go
wheel
Mitch range.
is ridiculously priced. But if they hit the $1,500 mark, that'd be decent.
Yeah, that's like Gomez range wheels. That I mean, for real high end equipment, that's not too terribly bad.
Okay, results. Let's talk about the NASCAR iRacing Series Winter Series, North Wilkesboro. Wow, I think I told my team it was one of the hardest races ever, it felt like. I got involved in the first caution, somehow ended up with 8X in one caution.
Wow, that's
The
good.
second caution, I absolutely got ran over from behind and dumped. The third one, actually spun out on my own, causing the third caution. I was actually racing too hard for the lucky dog trying to get it. I stayed out of trouble for quite a while until the seventh caution when I completely got run over from behind again while fighting for the lucky dog. And in this situation, I felt like I was dumb. About lap 95, I finally get to the lucky dog. A little after halfway at 133, a big wreck in front of me. I can't miss it, and I hit the incident limit. Have to do the pass through penalty. I ended up limping it home, trying not to wreck into anybody at P13. I was at 22X. And so one more incident or two more incidents, and I would have been DQ'd, but was able to bring home a finish. It was top split out of, I think, 32 people. So 13th, yeah, hey, I'll take it and run. Let's jump to other official racing. I ran the Pro F2000 at Road Atlanta, qualified 15th out of 16. Ouch. Got the 10th by the end of lap one, had a great race and finished P6. Then the F2000 at Road Atlanta, qualified fourth this time out of 17. P2, didn't have anything for the leader though. Then moved to Pro 2000 at Road Atlanta, qualified fourth out of nine, P4. Then we switched weeks, Indy Pro at Phoenix Oval. Start 18th out of 24, finished P9. Got one incident where a guy was getting freight trained. I was the third in line on the bottom when I went by him, and he tried to pinch me, and he basically banged wheels with me, and he wrecked. He wasn't happy with me, but I stayed out of trouble and brought it home. Moving forward, most of the time, I only got passed on the track twice. I was usually the one passing, so it was pretty encouraging. Next race was the F2000 at the Oval, running in the top seven, and I was inside a guy who cut down on me and spun us both out. Then I moved back to the Pro at Phoenix, running 14th out of 18. They wreck in front of me. I barely nicked it and it got a meatball with 15 minutes damage. Car looked intact. I was really surprised by the damage. Then back to the F10,000, F2000 car, started 10th and finished third. Spiker, you ran a bunch of dirt.
Yeah, no, I've been sick the last. Today's actually the best day I felt in over a week. But other than practicing for the majors, practicing for the Roar and the 24, I didn't run any official races other than some dirt rookie street stocks. Um, Wanted to change it up. I wanted to get into dirt. I just don't feel really confident with it. So I thought I'd start with the basics again. And I ran a total of 8 races in the last week or so with the rookie street stocks and the dirt side. So it's been a lot of fun. Been learning out different track types and then what happens when they take rubber and don't take rubber. So it's been exciting. I think I'm going to give it a go the whole entire the rest of the season, see where I end up, and then maybe move up to the late models next season.
Make sure you got the right wheel settings, man, for dirt. You went totally different than road and oval.
Yeah, and the SimiCube app helps you out with that pretty
You
well.
just searched one up and popped it in. There you go. I love the SimiCube because of that. I haven't really tweaked the settings at all. I'm just running other people's profiles. I've never felt the need to tweak anything. All right. Hosted. I ran the old Indy car at the old Michigan with Mr. Tony Rochette. I ran 16th, finished 16th, and he finished 7th. Later, I ran supercars at Texas, started 21st, finished 7th. Then the 87s at Talladega, wrecked out, ran it again, always wrecked out. We ran it several times actually. Then the next day, Riley Daytona prototype at Daytona wrecked out, and then old IndyCar at Michigan. I don't remember. Probably wrecked out. How about Winter League Homestead, David P9?
Yeah, will you read for me?
So yeah, so you got the coin flip split decision on a middle caution fell in your favor, plus long run speed and ability to control a loose set paid off. Though almost didn't run, been sick all week with a non-COVID, non-flu virus. Didn't feel like getting back up, but did. Felt fever break again right in the middle of the race, P9. And I ran, got P22. Caution came out after the green flag stops. Maybe it was 8 laps after I stopped. I was one away from the lucky dog, so I was trapped a lap down. Um, Tried to keep that lucky dog for a while, but eventually lost it. I suck. P22. Ryan, OBRL Cup.
Yeah, so we were at Indianapolis at the with the Cup cars Sunday night. I finished P20, which was terrible. Um, I started off by just touching the wall on both my qualifying laps, so it didn't register a Q lap at all. And I thought I had some pretty decent speed too, so that kind of screwed me up. And then I just had a terrible race. I got got into a couple people and just got a bunch of incident points that kind of screwed me out of a good finish. But one of them wasn't really my fault. One could was I think it was a racing deal, but it was just a problem. But but I do really like that car in the oval, and I really wish they would run it in NASCAR. It's one of the tracks where you can really get around the corners with the pedals more than the steering wheel, because you can really manipulate how much the car is turning in the pedals by how much how much throttle you're giving it, which is a really cool feeling to have. You don't get that a whole lot at at high banked ovals or anything like that. So just really like the car in Indy, and I was thinking after this race, well, I can't wait till we run there for real in the full season. And if they follow the schedule, I'm not going to do that. So it sucks.
Let's jump to final thoughts. Then Brian McCubbin, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to miss the 24, and it's really bumming me out a little bit. I had a trip planned that weekend, so there's nothing I can do about it. I feel one of the most fun things that we do, especially as a team every year. And I really feel bad that I'm going to miss out on it. Racing with Tyler and Tony and Rochette and Donnie would have been the first time I raced with him, and I'm going to miss it, and it sucks. But it's just like one of those things that you mark on the calendar, and I screwed up and scheduled the trip that week. So sorry, guys, and good luck. And Tyler's painting the car. It looks pretty cool. So good job, Tyler, and good luck everybody who hits the 24 next week, 2 weeks.
All right, very good. David Hall, final thought.
My throat hurts.
We'll keep it simple, right? All right, Donnie Spiker, you're getting better. Final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this weekend. Lot going on. We got the Roar on Saturday morning, like I mentioned earlier. The majors event will be my first majors event, which I'm super stoked for. Didn't qualify the best, but I feel comfortable with the car around the track. And then wake up Sunday morning and run the NIS race at North Wilkesboro. So that'll be an exciting 3 races this weekend.
I hope you have a better 87 race than I did at Wilkesboro. Man, that was a tough one. Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I'm just looking forward to this week. We got, like Donnie was saying, we got the majors event Saturday night. Um, I just, while you guys were doing a couple last hardware there, I quickly jumped in and did 4 laps of qualifying with the BMW hybrid. I got my qualifying finally in for it. It's just been a super busy week work wise since I finally went back to work in the new year here, and just really really exhausted. So I'm looking forward to 24. I'm looking forward to getting this majors event in the way. I have joined um, kind of forces with another team to in just the majors part called uh, why am I drawing a blank on it now? Anyways, I joined another team to help them out, and they can help me out too, I guess, with the majors. And I'm gonna run with them for the majors events for it as well.
All right, very good. My final thoughts. Yeah, just been racing the Indy Pro 2000. Kind of a fun car. I actually took it out at the Nordschleife today in a test, and just running around there trying to figure it out. And this last week on the road course, as we got through the week and I got to racing it Sunday night at the end of the week, I picked up speed. I found speed. It took me many, many races to get to that point, but I figured I was going too slow in some of the slow corners. I was slowing the car down more than I needed to, and I kind of stumbled upon that a little bit and picked up my pace. And so I'm certainly encouraged going into the next week's road courses and see if I can, keep that trend going. So with that, hey, we'll see you out there on the track later.